Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they finished change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My at name has not changed. It's also right there under my chin for those watching on YouTube. Seahawk at Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. Speaking of our YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, review, do all the good stuff on our channel. Seahawks Man to Man is the name of the channel. That's Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. Thank you for the love and support on there. Do some love, show some love on Instagram, TikTok, Seahawks Man to Man. Same thing. We keep it simple for you. Hit all the good buttons, like, repost, share, whatever the kids are doing these days. Thank you so much in advance. Chris, go ahead, talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at CKIDD206. And I'm not going to hit on everything Mike just did, but I will say, keep showing love on TikTok. We're seeing all the comments, all the reposts, all the likes. It's blowing up over there. So we appreciate all the love and support. We'll continue to do that throughout the season. I'm going to have to figure out something when it comes to the offseason as well. But we appreciate all the love and support.
All right. Because of the schedule quirk, this is just going to be our preview pod. We already did our one big thing from the last game, and there was no game coming off the bye week. So to preview our next opponent for the Seahawks, they're playing the Washington Commanders Sunday Night Football in Week 9. We have let me get this intro ready. We have the award-winning, beer-hating, Iggy Azalea loving, penthouse living, narrative podcast creating, Mizzou repping Commanders reporter for the Washington Post. My guy, my dog, Tashan Reed is back on the pod, fresh with his new job with the Washington Post. Let's give it up for him right now, Chris. Let's give it up for the guy, man.
Appreciate
our guy.
It's a couple lies in there for sure, but I'll let it rock. You know what I mean? It's fine.
Hey, man. Hey. This is we pride ourselves on accuracy on the Man to Man podcast. So just throwing that.
Just roll with the punches, man.
Yeah, just got to roll with that there. But this is our last time we had Tashan. He was covering the Raiders for The Athletic. That was in 2022. 3 years later, my dog is with WAPO, big time now. He had a new email and everything. Congratulations, my friend. How are you doing over there in DC?
Appreciate you, bro. It's good to actually be in DC. They've been on the road 4 out of my first 6 games, so I've been running across the country. But no, it's been cool, man. I mean, it's new team, new city, new place to work. So it's a lot of change at the same time, but it's kind of been like a new challenge to embrace too. Kind of pushing me to keep getting better and try to shine out there. So it's been fun. I might be the curse though. I don't know. Like as soon as I got here, everything with the Commanders started going sideways. So.
Yeah, Jayden hurt. They can't run the ball. Marshawn Lattimore got ankle weights on. It's not the greatest. So yes, for our listeners, there's the Tashan Reed curse, the T Reed curse, if you want to shorten it. The Commanders have been hit with it. They're not very good. Were they 3-5? Right now. Yeah. Not great. Is this do or die for these guys? Not do. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get hyperbole, whatever. Is it do or die for these guys on Sunday night in Week 9?
Maybe not this game, but this 3-game stretch that they have before their bye week is do or die. They have Seahawks this week, Lions at home next week, which is another tough one, and then Dolphins over in Madrid, which you never know what could happen in Europe, even though the Dolphins appear to be bad. I think they have to come out of this 3-game stretch with a winning record to really stay alive. Because if you go into the bye at 4-7, in this conference, I guess you're technically not out of it, but like you're pretty much out of it. You know what I mean? Like they still have a lot of divisional games left on their schedule. They've only played 2 divisional opponents so far, so they do have that advantage of being able to make up some ground in the NFC East. But it'd be tough sledding for them, especially with all the injuries that they have. So If they do lose on Sunday, I think that makes the next two must-win games, both of them. So it's getting pretty tight for him for sure.
Speaking of injuries, man, Terry McLaurin, it sounds like he's going to miss some time. So Debo Samuel, we know he's going to be ready and activated to go and compete. He knows the Seahawks very well, and the Seahawks know him. But who else in that wide receiver room can not just create problems for the Seahawks defense that has been arguably the best defense in the NFL?
I don't know about create problems, but like somebody who's made an occasional play is Luke McCaffrey, who his brother, obviously the Seahawks are very familiar with, but he's had these moments where he'll just kind of have like a random catch for 45 yards and then go away the rest of the game. So like he might hit you with like the random chuck game, like he's been able to, and it might be a product of like teams keying in on the run game. Debo Samuel when he's out there, Terry when he's out there, and he just kind of gets single coverage and it's a little bit easier for him. But he has made some plays. But outside of that, is they got Robbie Chosen, in the rotation, So I mean, it's pretty thin in their receiver room, and I think that's part of why their rushing attack was really strong to start the year, but they really lagged these last 3 weeks. And I think teams have basically just been like, well, we don't respect these receivers, so we're just gonna load the box, single high safety. Beat us if you can, and it's worked, these last 3 games. And that's part of why the offense, along with, Jayden Daniels getting hurt as well. But this receiver room is in a rough place, which, is kind of crazy considering it was, expected to be a strength coming into the season. But, injuries, all over this roster, but especially at receiver, just hit him hard. And even Debo, like he was coming off a heel injury where he missed his first game of the season. And last game, he wasn't quite himself either still, I don't think. And so, even if Terry, we'll see. He re-aggravated that quad injury that caused him to miss 4 games. I don't think they're ruling him out yet, but it might be tough for him to get back on the field this week. So this receiver room isn't exactly moving the Seahawks DBs. Like I don't think they would say if you gave them a little true serum.
That's fair. I get it.
Yeah. So let me see. I was just looking up Luke McCaffrey. Yeah, he had a 43-yard catch against the fighting Tashan Reeds from Vegas. And then he had a 50-yarder against the Commanders. Oh, and that was his only catch against the Chargers. Excuse me. Wow, there you go. Do Commanders fans think you hate their team yet? I thought of that when I heard you give that answer.
No. I don't think they're there yet. I mean, I think they hate their team more than I hate their team right now. I think that's been these East Coast fans, they're different. I think that's been the thing that I've realized. Like, even when they win, sometimes they mad. You know what I mean? Like. And they start losing a couple games. They start talking about firing people. Like, you need to bench this person. Like, the season's over. We need to start trade deadlines next week. Some people are saying they should be sellers. I'm like, yo, like, I get it's not great, but they 3-5. It's not that bad. You know what I mean? But I think it's one of those things where like you set the bar so high in year one, going 12-5 and making that NFC title game run that it's like anything less. It's like, what's happening? Like, why? We supposed to add these pieces in the offseason, supposed to be better. Like, we 3-5, So I think the fans, they got that taste of success, and now it's kind of made their expectations probably a little bit unreasonable. But that's kind of what comes with it. So, I mean, compared to them, like I'm like kind of the optimist now. This is like a new position for me.
That is very much so. Also on the receiver front, we have kind of a running bit on this show with as much film as I watch and how well I know the NFL. It seems like every other week I'm studying the opponent and learning that someone is still in the league. The other week, I learned that Brandon Cooks was still on the Saints. Didn't know that until I think week 3. And it wasn't until I think I knew this, but it wasn't until studying the Commanders for Interview You. I was like, wait, Robbie Chosen's on the team? Huh. Good for him and his agent, boy. He keeps that guy paid.
Yo, he was in the press box on Monday because they had like a weird kicker situation. Where like their kicker got hurt, so they had to sign a practice squad kicker, and like they had to kick him off the practice squad. And because of the timing of it, like right before the game, he was still with the team. So I saw him sitting in the press box, and I was like, "Is that Robbie Chosen?"
He watched the game from the press box.
Yeah. Like, he was I was like, "Yo, like, am I tweaking? Like, I thought he was on the field."
Oh, that's right, because the kicker got hurt pregame, right? Is that what happened?
Well, he got hurt like in practice, and they had to like do like some last minute situation. So anyway, yeah, Robbie Chosen sticks around. Even when they cut him, he's still around.
It's not funny, but it's funny, especially. Wait, does he still have the hair?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so if you're in the press box, like black people always stick out anyway. But then you got Robbie in there. It's like, oh, wait a minute. It was this guy with the hair. Oh, that's fun. I'm glad I brought him up because that was funny. All right, let's talk about the QBs real quick. It seems like anecdotally, in this small sample of me watching, it seems like when they got Jayden in there, they run a real offense. And then when Mariota's in there, Cliff Kingsbury basically morphs into like Oregon Chip Kelly with a treadmill in his house, essentially, and runs a very collegey offense. There, that's what it feels like. I feel like RPOs, pistol design, run game, whereas Jayden's like an adult who can throw the ball. So I mean, if it feels like Jayden will probably play, but if how much does your faith in Washington to have a fighting chance on Sunday night change if it is Mariota versus if they got their big boy quarterback Jayden under center?
I mean, if it's Mariota, they don't have a chance. Like they're gonna lose for sure. Like it's just not gonna happen for them. I mean, this defense, the way that they like they played well in the first half against the Chiefs, I'll give them that. But this defense, they just don't have what it takes to hang with this type of offense, and they're gonna have to put up points in bunches in order to win this one. And that's just not happening with Mariota out. Like they did against the fighting Mees earlier this year. They did have a big game. But that was the Raiders. Like, you know, no disrespect, but like Mariota, like you said, it's kind of like that kind of college offense where it's just if based on how they line up, you know what they're about to do, and the defense knows that as well. So it ends up being pretty easy to stop. But like I think last game he ran more than the running backs did. So I think they lean into it a little bit too much when he's out there, which is weird because he's not a better runner than Jayden Daniels, but like you would think he is the way they like lean into it even more. I think part of that is like trying to mitigate his crash out tendencies. Like he tried to hurdle somebody for some reason. I don't really know why. That's the second time he's done that this season. And then like if you give him too many dropbacks, like he just might try a crossbody throw that gets picked off and taken to the house. Like so I think they try to keep training wheels on the offense with him just because they know he tends to try to do too much sometimes. But I mean, it's hard to win consistently that way when you're kind of putting yourself in that box, unless you're just dominant on the run from the run game aspect, and they haven't been these last 3 weeks. You know, Bill Krosky-Merritt got off to a hot start to the year, and he's been bottled up, much to your chagrin. I know he's on your fantasy team, Mike.
Yes,
but
he is. We will get to him.
Yeah, so it's and you know, especially if Terry's not out there, like I just don't. They need a true like mistake eraser and a difference maker, and that's Jayden Daniels, even with the injuries this season. And so if it's Mariota out there, like they're gonna lose for sure.
Well, there we go. We got early prediction there. Yes, it was very fascinating to see two things. One, a kind of run-based offense around a quarterback who's over 30. I feel like we don't see that very often. Mariota, 31. Actually, his birthday's Friday. There you go. So he'll turn 32. Also, it was hilarious to see the leap. I don't know if you caught the broadcast, but yeah, immediately they was like, yeah, Mariota hurdles for like reasons only him and God know, or something like that. It was like immediate, like in the play-by-play. It was like, yo, why is he? Who's he think? Does he think this is Oregon? So that was funny. Quick thing on Jayden, real fast. All right, now we're gonna be in the world. We assume they got their guy. Let's assume for now just no Terry. So let's go with that scenario. Jayden's back, but they still have no Terry. Is Jayden this sophomore slump world? It doesn't seem like he's jumping off the screen like last year. What are you saying when they do have Jayden in there?
I wouldn't really call it a slump. Like I wrote last week, it's more of a speed bump because when he's out there, he pretty much looks like Jayden Daniels. He hasn't been quite as efficient in terms of like his completion percentage, but you look at the yards per attempt, his touchdown to interception ratio, his the damage that he's done as a runner, both design runs and when he scrambles, extends plays, makes plays happen down the field. Like he's been Jayden Daniels. The issue is he's just getting hurt. Against the Packers, he had the knee sprain. Then against the Cowboys, he had the hamstring strain. And it's like every time he kind of gets into a groove again, he gets hurt again. And it's not like there are these it's kind of like Anthony Davis, where it's like it's not this one big injury, but it's just like this a little annoying injury that'll knock him out for a week here or knock him out for a week there. And that's kind of what it's been for Jayden this season. And it's made it hard for him to get on the rhythm. And then when he comes back, it's like everybody else is getting hurt too. Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, over on defense, they have injuries. So he has, the margin of error is more slim for them. So I think it's been more about unavailability, more so than him not being as good as he was last year. Because I think when he's out there, he pretty much looks like the same JD. This isn't like CJ Stroud where he's independently playing poorly, in year two compared to his rookie season. Like I haven't seen that personally from Jayden this year. Like he's had some moments where his accuracy kind of sprays a little bit, but I think part of that is not having a report. Like you have some random receivers out there. Like you have, he's throwing to Robbie Chosen instead of Terry McLaurin. He wasn't really expecting to do that. Like, so his completion percentage might drop a little bit. You know what I mean? So I don't really think it's a situation where like he's worse, as much as we rush to put like that label on guys.
I want to go back to Marcus Mariota real quick because Seahawks fans might remember, and I know Mike will remember this, but in 2022, Marcus Mariota and the Falcons came to Seattle and got a dub. I know it was a different era. It was Pete Carroll and them, but the defense was solid, and Marcus Mariota was like, Kyle Pitts, oh yeah, we can make something shake. And they ended up winning that game. So he's undefeated. Okay, he beat the Seahawks when he's with the Titans as well. So it's a small sample size. He's 2-0, but low key, I kind of want to see Marcus Mariota play against Mike McDonald. Maybe he gets lucky again, even though Tashan's like, it ain't happening, bro.
Only you and Marcus Mariota's family want to see that. I can say that.
Yeah. Sunday Night Football, the NFL does not want to see that.
It was bad. It was bad.
I can't cuss this time, so
we appreciate the restraint. There we go.
Almost fired him up. Let's look at your guys' defense because you guys showed a lot in the first half against the Chiefs, but struggling to maintain consistency. What do the Commanders got to do against the Seahawks to see it through the entire game where they're just locked in from the start of the game to the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I think part of the issue, against the Chiefs was actually the offense kind of let them down. I think they had those couple early turnovers, a couple interceptions by Patrick Mahomes. The offense had a prime opportunity. They did nothing with it. And you can't do that against the Chiefs. Like eventually they're going to get theirs. And then once they turn it on, it's pretty much over. They made some schematic adjustments in the last game that I think they'll probably stick with this week. Typically this is a 4-3 team, but they went to, for context, they lost both of their starting defensive ends, Dietrich Wise and Dorrance Armstrong, for the season due to injury. They also lost their third defensive end, Javonte John Baptiste, to another injury. Jesus. And so now their top two edge rushers are a 36-year-old Von Miller and Jacob Martin, who former Seahawk.
Yes,
but as a way of trying to generate some more pressure, they switched to using more of a 5-man front last week, which they mix that in sometimes, but that was kind of like their base. And so you saw Frankie Louvu, who's usually an inside linebacker, switch over to kind of be that outside linebacker type. And then you have Bobby Wagner, and Jordan McGee, who has gotten some more playing time the last couple of weeks, sliding in there at inside linebacker. And so that front worked pretty well, both for getting after Patrick Mahomes, but also stopping the run early on. I think, their issue is always going to be that back seven is just, it's tough, you got like Wagner, it was one play where he was trying to cover Rashee Rice and he just, he can't, this isn't 10 years ago. It's hard to ask him to do that. It's hard to blame him for it because ideally he's not even in that situation, but they have to have him in that situation because of the way that they're playing defense. And their secondary has just been getting cooked the whole year, really, no matter what it is. I will say Marshawn Lattimore had a pick against Mahomes, but he's played at a below average level this year. Quan Martin has been unusually bad this year. Their starting safety, Will Harris, is hurt, so they've had a mix of Jeremy Reeves, who's known as being a special teamer, and Tyler Owens out there. And then, their other cornerback, Trey Amos, is a rookie. So, I think he could end up being a good player, but he's having those typical growing pains, ups and downs that comes with it. But I think it's, they have to get aggressive with that plan with the front and try to pressure Sam Darnold and get him to start acting like a different version of Sam Darnold than the one we've seen this year. It's still in there. We've seen it before. But I think that's really the game plan to try to, get these guys under control. Because if they're not getting after him and you got JSN all day to cook the secondary, it's going to be a long one.
Oh, I think a lot of our listeners, watchers, if they're a fantasy owner of JSN, they're saying, yeah, we're definitely starting him, especially when Tashan just said the secondary is it could use some help out there. But I'm curious from your viewpoint on this regarding JSN. Are you surprised by this, how he's playing? And then when you look at what the Commanders are going to try to do you think maybe they should tone down on blitzing? Because right now, if I'm not mistaken, they are, I want to say 13th in the NFL and blitz rate at 27%. And would you like to see that number come down, especially considering JSN one-on-one matchups? If you're going to blitz, that's going to leave a lot of one-on-ones, and that could create explosives, which JSN's been nails on. He's probably the best. He's the best receiver in the league right now. So with that being said, do you want to see that blitz number down, or do you think they got to pressure Sam Darnold or hope that he makes mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, I think first question, like being surprised, like not necessarily. Mike's been beating the drum on him for a minute now, being wide receiver one. So, you know, I tend to trust his evaluation skills. So, you know, he's going a little bit crazier than I anticipated still, but like, you know, I expected him to take some sort of step, you know, with DK getting traded and all that. But in terms of their blitz rate, I don't know. It's tough where it's like, you want to blitz more often because you have your edge rushers hurt and you need to generate some pressure. But because your secondary has been so bad, if you do blitz more often, they're probably going to give up some more chunk plays. And so it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I would probably more so lean towards, you know, sitting back and kind of playing, you know, over the top coverage and not blitzing as often, trying to get home with 4, or I guess 5 now with them switching to this 5-man front. You know, and sort of just hoping that Sam Darnold makes mistakes because this boomer bust approach, like it just hasn't been working for them this year. And we've seen it time and time again. You know, the Cowboys game was the worst example of it. But it's just little reason to believe that this secondary can hold up in those one-on-one situations. Like they haven't shown it, you know, against really anybody this season. And so I definitely wouldn't expect it to continue against JSN. And so that really goes against like how they like to live. I mean, you know, Dan Quinn comes from that Pete Carroll tree, and Joe Witt Jr., their defensive coordinator, like they want to be aggressive. You know, they want to, you know, play a lot of man coverage. They want to blitz often, but you got to adjust to your personnel, and they just don't have the guys this year due to those injuries. And you know, I think even without the injuries, this was probably a middle of the pack defense. But with them, you know, it's really a below average unit, one of the worst units in the league. And so I think it's hard to live with that boomer bust aggressive mindset when you know you just don't have the personnel out there.
Let me sprinkle some optimism if I can here for our what's on the Commanders side. I think, you know, I watched the film of the Commanders game and then I watched it live. I was like, you know, Marshawn wasn't even bad. You know, what you said, the rookie name Trey, is that number 23? He wasn't even that bad. Now check their numbers. They're both 18th in passer rating allowed per Pro Football Focus. So not that bad. It seems like if there is a problematic guy still though, it's how you pronounce the Nichols last name?
Mike Sainristil.
Sainristil?
Yeah.
Where is that brother from? But yeah, his numbers are bad. But I'm just looking like in that Chiefs game, I would imagine I didn't look the whole Pro Football Focus thing up, but I would guess like the linebackers took a lot of the coverage issues there and some other guys, not just like Marshawn and those guys getting beat. So was that maybe a step in the right direction for the corners that maybe they've turned a corner for lack of a better term. Maybe they can be better.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely probably Lattimore's best game of the season, like outside of the pick, like you mentioned. I think a lot of where the Chiefs did their damage was over the middle of the field. You know, linebackers in coverage, safeties, taking advantage of those guys more so than the cornerbacks. But I still, you know, for me, it's hard to say that. You know, I'm not really believing in the secondary just yet. You know, particularly against this matchup. Like one thing that they don't do is, you know, I think when they traded for Lattimore, they would have liked him to become this guy, you know, that kind of shadows whoever the other team's number one receiver is. They pretty much just do the thing where they play one side of the field. So that'll also allow the Seahawks pretty much whatever matchup they're trying to get with JSN, they can get it because the Commanders' defense has been pretty static in that way. And so if they think Lattimore is fine, but they want to go after Ricky, they can do that. If they want to go after my man's Sainristil, they can do that. So it seems like a tough matchup for them. And I think especially with the pass rush being compromised with those injuries, because like Dorrance Armstrong was playing really well. I think he had 5.5 sacks before he got hurt. He was like top 5 in sacks, and you know, he was up there in terms of pressure rate as well. But especially with the pass rush lacking, and their run defense also has not been good. I know the Seahawks like
everything bad.
It's just like it's kind of hard to find, you know, because if they could make them one-dimensional, and that gives the pass rush more of a chance to kind of disrupt things, but they haven't really been able to do that either. And so that's why I said I think there's going to have to be a shootout for the Commanders if they're going to win this one, because I just don't have a ton of faith in this defense, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned Armstrong, who was playing well before the injury there. That was another fascinating statistical deep dive that I took there. So via True Media, the average pressure rate for guys who have at least rushed the passer 75 times, so we're taking out those blitzers because those guys don't exist, is 10.8%. That's the average pressure rate. Commanders had 4 guys who were over that. You know, Armstrong was at 16.8. I'm gonna say Johnny Newton because apostrophes are kind of ghetto. Johnny Newton was at 15.3. Von Miller somehow at 14.3, and then Jacob Martin, Seahawks legend, at 13-5. And then the Commanders were actually still are top 10 in pressure rate, 8th in sacks, 8th in sack rate, 9th in quarterback hit. So a lot of their numbers actually mirror the Seahawks statistically with the pass rush. But do you see that as a product more of what Armstrong was doing? Is that maybe trending south unless Jacob Martin, morphs into Von Miller of his prime?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that is like probably weighted towards earlier on in the season when Armstrong was out there. I will say Jacob Martin did have a good game last week. He had a couple sacks. He also had a sack against. They ended up nullifying it, but he almost killed Dak Prescott against the Cowboys, hitting him around the neck. So I mean, he's been playing well the last couple of weeks, and Dan Quinn shouted him out. And Von Miller has been, like they've kind of been using him as a pitch hitter. Like he'll play like 20, 25 snaps and, get a few pressures. And then that's probably why that pressure rate looks like that. But it's hard for them to have him out there for, 40, 50 snaps because teams just going to run it at his side of the ball. Plus he's 36. You know what I mean? So,
Wait, Von Miller's 36?
Yeah.
Him and Cam Jordan are ancient, bro. They out there balling still. And it's just like, dude, get paid though, I guess. I ain't mad at it.
Yeah. So like, I think, a lot of their pressure, they had a good 4-man pass rush with Armstrong out there, but since he's been out, this just had to be a lot more blitzing, which, as we talked about earlier, leaves them susceptible in the pass game. So, I don't want to say that the pass rush isn't real. I just think there's kind of some added context there that it's not really, I wouldn't really call it a top 10 pass rush unit, if that makes sense.
Well, there we go. That's why we get people who watch more games and don't just look at the numbers like Mike from his desk there. That makes me think, are the Commanders the oldest defense in the league? They have to be.
They're the oldest team in the league. So
oldest. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Oh my God. Where's that Bill? There's that Bill Barnwell snap weighted ages through week 8. Yeah, the Commanders are the oldest defense in the league. Number 1. Them and oh my God. Wow. I didn't realize they were playing all these guys who were over 30.
Yeah, and it shows because like the speed difference is tough. Like some of these situations, like like the linebackers in particular, like it's not really much they could do because they're playing Wagner every snap, for example. But it's like if you take them off the field, then what? You know what I mean? Like who are you going to put out there?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so it's one of those situations. So like. That's really a roster construction thing, and that's not something you can address until the offseason. And so they have to just try to get as creative as they can to work around it. But you can't engineer speed. Either you have it or you don't. And when you're going against a team like the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy out there and Rashee Rice, it starts to look bad for you at a certain point. And it's just not an issue that I think they can solve this season. It's something that they just have to try to work around as best they can.
Yeah, I didn't. Chris, did you remember that Von Miller was over there? I don't know if I remember.
I did because I was going to ask Tashan about it, but I'm like, bro gets 20 snaps a game, as you already alluded to. When I looked that up on Pro Football, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm not about to ask him. He plays 20 snaps. He might get a pressure.
And he's got a weird jersey number now. He got some ugly joint. It's like 24. 24.
Yeah,
what?
That's
we're not asking about no guy wearing 24.
We're not. That's Kobe though, right? Like
no. Get a real jersey number, and then we'll respect you. No, that is utterly ridiculous, bro. For a pass rush. Yeah, nah, man. Shout out Seahawks legend Jacob Martin, though. Got shipped off in a Jadeveon Clowney trade in 2019. Still doing still doing this thing. All right, the focus of our over-under that we're going to have you do for a game prediction is the brother with the hyphenated name. I don't have it written down. What is his real name?
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
Bill.
The reason why he likes to be called Bill is his parents said he looked like Lil Bill when he was a kid. So,
wow, he told people that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, I wouldn't have told anyone that.
I mean, because I'm gonna ask you, like, Ja'Cory, how does that become Bill? It makes no sense. So, like, there has to be something here.
Yeah, no, that's. I wish we used to have a bit, Tashawn. We used to have a bit here where I would ask Chris people's real names, and Chris, I would ask Chris, and he wouldn't know. I remember, and I would do it live on the show. I remember the first time I asked him what Julio Jones's real name was, and telling Chris it was Quintorris, which just blew his mind.
It's Quintorris.
Oh, you didn't know this either?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was curious because I was like, why is there a black guy named Julio? So I Googled it one day. I was like, oh, it's not. It kind of jumped out at me. It's like, meet like black people named like Hector or Edgar. I'm like, that's weird. Is it your real name? It's like Julio. That's not a real. And he's from the South, I believe, too. So I was like, he wouldn't do that. Yes, I think his grandmother started calling him Julio. His real name is Quintorris. But yes, Chris made a similar face as you just did. When I learned that, I wish we could do it with Bill, but he's let everyone know he likes to be called Bill. So I couldn't do it this time around. But anyway, hey man, why can't this guy run the ball? I don't care who's the quarterback. They should be able to run it with Jayden. They should be able to run it with Mariota. How do the Commanders in 2025 with Cliff Kingsbury not have a reliable run game, whether it's with Bill or McNichols, Rodriguez, whoever?
I think part of it is like they haven't committed to running the ball. Like there's like the attempts per game. I think I haven't checked it this week, but I think it was like 15th or 16th coming into last week, and but they were like first in yards per carry. So it's like run the ball more, and they just don't really do it. Most of his games this season, he has less than 10 touches, and so it's like, I mean, you need volume. There are running backs that can come in and have a small workload and get a bunch of yards, but that's tough to do week in, week out. You got to give a guy at least 10, 15 carries to really make an impact there, and they just haven't really committed to it in that way. He did have a couple fumbles. He had a big one in the Bears game that proved to be costly, but it's not like they've been giving the ball to the other running backs either. They just haven't been running the ball on design running back runs, and I think it's kind of a strange thing because the offensive line has been playing well. They got Sam Cosmi back at right guard. He had been out for the first few games of the season because he tore his ACL in January. But I mean, Laramie Tunsil, he hurt his hamstring last week, so we'll see on his status as well. That'll be a huge one that I forgot to mention earlier. But Tunsil had been really elite this season. He hadn't given up a sack. He was good in run blocking. The rookie right tackle Josh Connolly had been playing pretty well. Their guards have been playing pretty well. So it's like they can block. They just haven't been running the ball. It's like one of the weirdest things. And especially with knowing that your defense is struggling and going against some of these prolific offenses, you would think you would try to control the clock, keep them off the field in that way. But it was weird. Cowboys game had happened where it was starting to get out of hand and he just kept throwing the ball for some reason. And then same thing as the Chiefs in the second half. And so I kind of look at Cliff there, to be honest, of why aren't you committing to the run game? And I get it. Like teams are loading the box more. They're playing more single high safety because of your receiver injuries, but you kind of got to run the ball anyway, man. Like I don't, just dropping back as many times as they are, I just don't think it's conducive to success, especially given how good they are running the ball. So I think he has to make an adjustment there. And, maybe we'll see if Crossy Merritt gets some more volume, then maybe his production goes back up. But, if you're only getting 6, 7, 8 carries in the game, I mean, it's going to be a couple 30, 40-yard outings in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what you got? What's our over-under for this week?
Well,
I'm
putting $1,000 that Tashan's going under. So we're just going to go ahead and make it real simple. Bill rushing yards, 57.5. I'm guessing, Tashan, you're taking the under. Oh, he's thinking, guys.
57.5.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like something's got to give at some point with their offensive game plan. You know what I mean?
You seen the Seahawks defense, Tashan? This D-line? I
mean, what you gonna do? Not play? You gotta do something.
There we go. My fantasy team appreciates that attitude.
Especially we'll see on Tunsil. I'm not sure what his status is gonna be. I actually don't know yet. But if he's not out there as your blindside protector, and let's say Jayden comes back, you're gonna drop him back 30, 35 times a game against his defense with these receivers? That doesn't really make sense. So I feel like you got to lean into the run game. So I'll go over.
Okay,
There
I
we
like
go.
that.
There we go. Write that down. Such a smart guy. See, Chris, you know what happened was quick Mike fantasy team tangent. I've had Bill for a minute. I benched him for the Chargers game. He goes nuts. I'm like, you killing me, right? I'm like, all right, cool. Pick him back up for the next game. Forget what it was. He fumbles in that game. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this kid. And then I read a feature on him in the Washington Post, right? So I'm like, okay, it's all about how my man got his confidence up. He liked that. I'm reading this whole backstory. I'm like, all right, Sean ain't gonna do no feature on no scrub. He ain't done nothing since. So I'm really blaming you. I'm like, yo, I keep winning, but still, it's just, it's unfortunate that you and Cliff don't want me to be great. You, Cliff, and Bill apparently don't want me to be great. It's a very frustrating thing there. Yes, it is, but I'm gonna do it anyway because that's what I'm a fan of my team, and fans are irrational. And before we get to your prediction, 2 shout outs. Frankie Louvu, we mentioned, go Cougs, Washington State, great there. And Josh Carnley Jr. from Seattle, Rainier Beach High School. I want to give him a shout out as well. It's gonna be cool I don't know if he does Oregon when he does his Sunday Night Football intro, but if he says Rainier Beach High School, that'd be cool.
fire
On Sunday night. That'll probably go viral in the city. That's pretty cool. So shout out to him. All right. And without further ado here, Chris, what is the line before we get our prediction from our guest?
Seahawks are favored on the road at 3.5. Tashan, who wins, and give us a score, man.
I'll go with Seahawks. I got them winning 30-20 on the road. I think the Commanders, they just have so many injury questions that are up in the air on offense. Tunsil, can he go? Is Jayden going to go? McLaurin, even if one of those guys is out, against the Seahawks defense, the way that they're playing right now, like it's hard to see them having a ton of success. And then their defense, like I don't know. It's hard for me to find for a ton of reasons.
We can tell.
I don't know what to say. Like I think about it. And I'm like, oh, maybe they could do this, maybe they could do that. But it's not really too much that the coaches can do, which I do think, like I get it. Like when a unit is struggling, the fans automatically go to like, all right, fire the coordinator. Or like if he's calling the game from the press box, he needs to be on the sideline. Or if he's in the sideline, he's call the game for the press box. But like sometimes there's just nothing you could do. like you just don't got the guys that year to be good on that side of the ball. And I think that's just one of those years. This is one of those years for the Commanders. And so it's just tough to see them coming out. I would have won in this one. So I got the Seahawks winning by 10.
There we go. Right. Write that down. And I don't know if Commanders fans are smart enough to peep this, but I mean, this is probably just was going to happen no matter what, just because I was reading, you would know this stat better than me, but they won 7 total games last year on the final play from scrimmage. I think last year it's something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6. It was a lot. A lot of games.
An unsustainable number of wins last year on the final play from scrimmage, and typically there's going to be some regression just there. That's just how football works. The ball shaped weird, it bounces weird. And when you go 12-5, like you're going to have a more difficult schedule. You're also not sneaking up on anybody because everybody knows, all right, this team is nice, so you're not catching a good team slipping. So there was always going to be some regression, but I think because the injuries are pretty crazy. Like, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. You got both of your starting defensive ends, your starting safety, your starting quarterback. All 3 of their starting receivers have been hurt at some point this year. Noah Brown is still on IR. Like your starting running back, Austin Eckler, to start the year, he tore his Achilles in week 2. Like, I think they've already, as of last week, and that was only 7 games in, they had already surpassed their total games missed than they had all of last season. Ooh, wow.
So like that kind of thing happens. It's like, okay, there's going to be some regression there. And I think that's, what we've seen.
Wow.
Oof. All right. Well, write that down. Seahawks 30-20. All right. Before we get you out of here and do our outro, floor is yours, my man. You want to plug anything got going at the Washington Post? Even just your social media, people can find you. Go ahead. This is your time.
Yeah, so I'm on X, Instagram, even Blue Sky. I don't know if people are still on there or not, to be honest. I still post on there though. At Tashan Reed. Definitely subscribe to the Washington Post. We'll have some updates today on the status of Jayden Daniels, of course, and the other injured players that they all have. Definitely going to be leaning into, kind of this debate about what the team should do ahead of the trade deadline. And then, of course, covering the game on Sunday. And me and Mike, we're going to be linking up. Not going to have no beer, though. That's banned. That's banned. Got to have some cognac, some real man's drinks.
Okay, yes, yeah. We do.
So no beer, though. Definitely. If you come around, ordering some beer, I'm gonna tell him to take it back.
And he will do that too. By the way, he definitely. If you buy Tashan a beer, he'll just leave it right there. At the bar. He won't drink it. All right. I thought you were gonna plug it, but I will do it for you. Tashan also just wrote a feature on Mike Pereira. As well on the Washington Post, because he gets in his feature bag there already. You guys probably know Mike. Every time they need to confuse us with a rule about what is and is not a catch or some other convoluted NFL minutia, they bring in Mike. A good feature on Pereira there. So make sure you go read that as well when you subscribe to the Washington Post. My man, I appreciate you giving us some time. Appreciate you not swearing. Thank you so much. We enjoyed it last time, but yeah. Yeah, family show.
I get it. You got a couple kids now. Yeah. I gotta adjust. It's different.
Yeah, got kids now, and I will see you this weekend when I get out there. Thank you guys for tuning in to Seahawks Man to Man podcast. Again, like, comment, review, subscribe. Instagram Seahawks Man to Man, YouTube Seahawks Man to Man, TikTok Seahawks Man to Man. Make sure you follow me on X at Mike Dugar. Follow Chris as well. Our next show, since we've already done standout plays because there was no game, our next show will just be the post-game show. That's it. So enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend. We'll come to you Monday morning with our recap of the game that, according to Tashan, the Seahawks are going to win. So blame him if they do not. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.